Max FM's in the house! They have a lot of changes coming to the Reptile Season 2 Reptile card links. Learn about the new Reptile cards coming for Season 2. Will Reptile slither into a new age? Eyes, Scar, if initial, select one Reptile card from your discard pile. Otherwise, select from your draw pile. Put the selected card on top of your draw pile. Vanish. So it looks like they're giving all the eyes the same ability. This is the same as Blossom, but it's Reptile specific. So it's a marginal better version, but it has if initial. Gecko Eyes, big change to Gecko Eyes, 0 energy, 30 damage. It says this Axie attacks itself. Heal other allied units for 15 HP and cleanse them 1 time. So it's a little bit of a nerf. Instead of it being 50 to itself and then healing 25, it's 30 to itself and healing 15. It's a little bit of a nerf, but I think it's still good. It's a great 0 cost. Topaz, 1 energy, 25 damage. Deal 10 bonus damage per card in your banished pile. Cap it 120 bonus damage. So it can do 145 damage to a single card. If you have like Pure Instinct and this is on the Reptile, was that 145 times? It'd be a bonus like 14 or 15. So like doing like 169 or something. Ayo. Tricky, if initial, swap this card with 1 card in your banished pile. 50 healing, 1 energy, right? So Tricky, we used to use this to get Nemo back, and then they changed Nemo to where it's unstable and becomes a confused card, so you never actually get to get Nemo back. Right now you can use this to get Carrot Hammer back. Ears, so we have Pagona, big change here. 1 energy, 60 damage. Apply taunt to the self for 2 turns. Gain 1 spike, and in here we're gonna learn what spike does. Frizzard, all right, so Frizzard, a little nerf to Frizzard. Instead of it healing for 80, it's only healing for 50. 1 energy, 50 healing, but it says target an ally, so you can make sure you're healing the right Axie, because sometimes it would miss, right? No more damage buff, but it does apply doubt to all enemies for 4 turns. So very good against Shiitake. Very good against the healing teams, like the Leafy teams, the Poppy Eyes and stuff like that. Curved Spine. This was my least favorite card to play against because the bleed for 4 turns was so brutal. This is 1 energy, 70 shields. Target an ally next turn. The target gets attacked by an opponent, so not itself. Apply bleed to the attacker for 4 turns. So same here, but very, very strong. Small Frill. 1 energy, 30 healing, but now you get to target an ally, so you can use it on the one that needs the healing instead of it randomly just healing itself or shielding itself like the old Hot Butts and the old Swirl, right? So you get to apply 3 poison to all enemies still, so no change here, just a buff on it being able to target any ally. Swirl, 1 energy, 30 shields, so 30 healing for Swirl, so the same right here. Target an ally, shuffle 2 confused into your opponent's draw pile. So big change here. So you get the effect immediately. You don't have to wait to like maybe get the effect. They may draw it the next turn, so that's pretty sweet. I think this is a huge buff to Swirl and a huge buff to Curse teams in general. Side Barb, 5, I think it was 45 before, so 50 damage, 1 energy. Apply 2 poison stacks and bleed for 4 turns to a random enemy. I think Side Barb is a pretty decent card. But it doesn't see a lot of play because RNG is involved. Let's go to these mouth cards. Toothless Bite. Target the closest or the furthest enemy. Oh, so you get an option. So you can do the first. Oh, that's pretty sweet. 65 damage. Mouth, 30 damage. I was interested to see what the changes to Katara were going to be with Energy Burst. 1 energy, because this card was insane. Playing a Carrot Hammer Katara team meant that you got to max energy from Energy Burst and the extra card draw way faster than your opponent if they did not have Katara or Carrot Hammer. So 1 energy, 30 damage, deal 2 hits to a random enemies. Gain 1 energy fragment per unique enemy hit. So it's going to give you a guaranteed 1, maybe 2. So yeah, so it's going to get 1 for playing it, and I'm guessing 1 for each hit. So it could give you a possible 3. So Katara is very good. Razor Bite, 1 energy, 60 damage, heal HP equal to 50% of unblocked damage. So no changes here. Tiny Turtle, a little bit of a change here. 1 energy, 60 damage. Says if initial, apply sleep for 4 turns to your target and to self. I remember distinctly me saying that I think Tiny Turtle will get a change. How this limit would be changed. A limit being not, you can only play 1 in a turn, but limit as in how it restricts the Axie and how they can play, right? A limiting ability. So this limit of sleep, like sleep, stun, I think stun is out of the game, right? Very overpowered. So a little nerf to poison teams in general, but also applies sleep to itself for 4 turns. Back. Bone Cell. Target an ally next turn. If the target would receive a debuff, that debuff is applied to the applier instead. So it's kind of like a Reptile for the effect, right? So kind of cool. So if they try to chomp to apply sleep, instead it's applied sleep and then they sleep itself again. So they'll have like 6 turns of sleep. Ugh. Tri spikes. 1 energy, 20 damage. Randomly deal 3 hits. Deal 1 bonus damage per spike or blood spike on this Axie. So pretty solid card, I think. Green Thorns. 20 healing. Target an ally. Apply 2 poison 5 times to random enemies. So I'm kind of sad that they did not nerf this more because it was so strong. But reptiles have a lot of health, and 20 isn't a lot in proportion to the amount of HP that they do have, right? But applying 2 poison 5 times to random enemies, a very consistent card. Indian Star. Target an ally. Limit 1. Next turn, whenever hit by an opponent, the target reflects 50% of the shield loss. So this reflects 35 total damage by itself, right? But it also has, whenever played, increase the reflect percentage by 15%, cap at 100%. So one of these could make it to where it reflects 70 of that damage by itself. So kind of neat. Red Ear, big change here. It used to have, if initial, shield all enemies for half the card's shield potential, right? So if it's 82, then they would get 41 on everybody, if initial. But now it has shield your team next time your opponent uses keep. Gain 2 energy fragments. And we'll learn about what keep is here in a little bit. But that 2 energy fragments is kind of a big deal. But it's kind of circumstantial, right? You don't have a guaranteed way to get those extra energy fragments because we don't see very many cards with keep. So far we have Rosa, but I don't know if there's going to be a mechanic later to where they can just put a card on top any turn, right? Use that buyback feature might be keep, and maybe that keep feature puts them back on top, and whenever they do that, triggers you getting extra energy fragments. So it's like 3 energy fragments potentially, right? Croc. Target an ally next time an Axie uses a skill card or a secret card. Apply bleed for 4 turns to that Axie. So instead of this being an anti-attack card, this is an anti-skill card. So it's very interesting because what teams play a lot of skill cards, but sustain. They're playing Shiitakes, that's a skill card. They're playing, maybe Merry Legion sometimes, that's a skill card. They're playing Indian Star, they're playing Pumpkin, which is a secret. So that'll trigger the Croc. So they have a way to take down the sustain teams. They can make them bleed out, right? Horn. Starting off with Unko. 1 energy, 60 damage. Shuffle 1 goo into your opponent's discard pile. So no change to goo here. It would have been really sweet to see this shuffle it into your opponent's draw pile, but too powerful. Skelly Spear. 1 energy, 60 damage. This Axie gains 1 spike. Gain 1 bonus spike for each other spear card in your deck. So Skelly Spear will no longer climb like the previous nut mechanic. So we're not going to see this climbing and getting it to the 96 damage range. Instead, it's going to be applying spikes. And spikes will be important, as you'll see in just a little bit. Cerastes. 1 energy, secret, target an ally, limit 1. Next time your target gets attacked, deal 85 damage to the attacker. So this card, if you have it on one of your Axies, is going to force your opponent to play their shields first instead of their if initial, like Risky Fish, maybe Risky Beast, maybe Risky Bird. So it's going to force them to shield before they attack, so they'll take that reflected damage directly to their Axie's HP. Skelly Spoon, 1 energy, 70 shield. Target an ally next turn. If the target's shield is broken by an opponent, dispel the attacker 2 times. So this is like Aranda's previous effect, but it's a defensive card, right? So if they attack first before putting the buff, then they're like better off. But if they were to apply the buff and then attack, like, I don't know if they attack with the cuckoo, would it dispel the cuckoo before the damage is dealt? Incisor, 1 energy, 60 damage. It says gain 2 spike. So it no longer applies bleed to the attacker for 2 turns or 4 turns or whatever it was. 1 energy, bumpy. It's a power with innate. For the rest of the battle, whenever you play a card, this Axie gains 7 shield. Cannot stack and exile. So solid card. Maybe we'll see a little bit more play. Now on to the tail cards. Wall Gecko, big change here. 1 energy, 30 damage instead of 50 or 60 or whatever it was before. This Axie attacks itself, so it is 30 to itself. No longer is an attack card, but it also applies taunt for 2 turns. When your next turn starts, this Axie is healed for 50% of the HP lost in the last turn. This is very solid. A Dawn or a Mech with this, so they're taking reduced damage and then they're healing. I guess that would be a reduced healing too. Iguana, big change to Iguana. 1 energy, 60 damage. Apply heal block for 4 turns. So it looks like reptiles are getting a lot of anti-sustain technology. I wonder why that is. Tiny Dino. We were concerned that Tiny Dino would get a change because it was so prominent on the Rage Beast near the end of the season. 1 energy, 60 damage. It says retain. This card gains 15 bonus damage per turn. It is retained. Max of 4 turns. So I don't know if we'll see the mechanic change to where each individual Tiny Dino has to be held for a little while, which is the way I think it should be. So you can't retain it for 4 turns and get it to max damage, and then everyone you draw after that has its max damage already. I think each individual Tiny Dino needs a way of detecting if it's an individual or unique instance. So you have to retain it again to get the damage again, right? Big change to Grass Snake, and I'm really excited about this one. We did record our live reaction to the reveal, but we ran out of memory and we had to delete a bunch of stuff. So we lost it all, right? Because we didn't notice the pop-up. Grass Snake, because I had the Axie tech app open on one monitor, which is over OBS, so I didn't even realize that we weren't actually recording. So target an enemy. Pretty big buff there. Limit 1. Increase the number of poison stacks on the target by 50%. So I hope it hits and then does the trigger. That way, if you have a poison applying rune and a poison applying charm, those trigger and then the effect happens. But 45 damage, target any enemy, limit 1, get 50%. So if they have 10 stacks, they get 5 additional stacks. So this is pretty good. It tends to be better mid to late game versus early on, right? Gia, attacking all enemies, deal 2 bonus damage per poison stack on the enemy, 2 energy, 40 damage. Now, what we're going to learn here in just a second, that poison is a little bit different. And Gia got a buff. Snake Jar. Now, this is the change of all changes so far. This is like a whole new thing. Are you ready for this? 1 energy, 60 healing. Target an ally. If the target has less than 200 HP, apply Snake Jar. Snake Jar cannot be dispelled. If this unit doesn't die in 6 turns, deal 100 damage to all enemies. It's crazy because reptiles have Gia and Snake Jar as crazy finishers, right? Poison! Whenever your turn starts, this Axie loses 3 HP per stack of poison. Then remove 1 stack, cap at 40 stacks. So big buff to poison, able to go up to 40 stacks, which means Gia, its damage potential is a lot higher because it does 2 times the poison stacks, right? I'm hoping that we get Venuki. If we get Venuki and we have Grass Snake and Gia, I think Venuki would be excellent this season and see poison top the leaderboards at least for a little bit. So cap of 40 stacks means we can have 40 times 2, so bonus 80 damage. So Gia could do 360 damage for 2 energies. Pretty good. Spike. When hit, consume 1 stack to reflect 5 damage and gain 5 blood spike. So you trade 1 for 5, but it also deals 5, right? Cap at 10 stacks. So you can only have 10 at a time to do the trigger to get total of 50 blood spike stacks, right? Blood spike cannot be dispelled. When this unit dies, deal pure damage equal to the number of blood spike stacks to all enemies. This is like if you kill the reptile, it explodes on everybody and it damages everybody like an acid. Like acid, like prickly, spiky acid, right? I think this is pretty sweet. This turns your reptiles into, like, they all have a finishing ability. Poison reptiles and spike reptiles are gonna be a threat that you're gonna have to, like, mitigate. You're gonna have to change the way you play against these technologies. Anyways, I don't know. This is wild. This is so many changes. What are you excited about most? Is it Spike and Blood Spike? Is it changes to Snake Jar? People are snatching up Snake Jar Reptiles like all day. I just want to say that this is not financial advice, but I would not make any purchasing decisions until we get a few more leaks. I see a lot of people making purchasing decisions based on cards that probably will get changed. We did see a change to Skelly Spoon, right? Skelly Spoon no longer reflects the damage. So we have Skelly Spoon no longer reflects the damage like Indian Star, right? So Indian Star is a one-of-a-kind spell. So when you go out buying Reptiles because of yesterday's leak, and now today Reptiles are different, right? A little bit of a tweak to how they play. So be careful making purchase decisions, especially if they involve cards that have not been revealed yet. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that like button. Leave me a comment of what you're excited for most. If you have a sweet Axie that you want me to check out, leave the ID below and I'll take a look at it. Thanks for watching. We'll see you in the next video.